are gone.
No, not yet.
Oh, you're leaving in March, right?
So we're not quite there yet.
Yeah. You got a week. Well, we got to pack.
I'm early.
The model of good government.
Good evening. We'll call a special meeting of the City of Grosse Pointe Farm City Council to order. I ask City Attorney Burgess to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Assistant City Manager, City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Wood.
Here.
Councilmember Conrad Wilberty.
Here.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Here.
Mayor Gluey.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Soroka.
Here.
Councilmember Judge.
Here.
Is there a motion to excuse Councilmember Donovan, please?
So moved. Seconded.
Motion's been moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. This special meeting was called this evening to get an update on and take action with regard to the new aquatic facility. Before I turn it over to City Manager Grosse, I just wanted to make a couple of comments before we get into this. And this has truly been a collaborative effort. I appreciate all the hard work that Mr. Grosse and his team have done, Mr. Burgess and his team, City Council, Mr. Blake and his team, members of the pool committee, members of the Parks and Harbor committee. We have literally generated and received more input on this issue than any I can recall in the last 10 years. It's been a collaborative effort between the citizens of Grosse Pointe Farms, the proposed contractors, and the residents, quite frankly. And I think what you're going to see tonight is absolutely wonderful. We are going to take action, and seriously, special thanks. It's the way government should be done. The process is very, very important. We followed it to a T. Mr. Galatas, you and your team as well. Mr. Rowe, don't mean to leave you out. You've been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. With that, I'll turn it over to City Manager Grosse, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Our audience, but I appreciate Council scheduling this special meeting because it is special. It really is a combination of a lot of hard work over the last few months, putting together plans and details for a very exciting project. And we're anxious to get shovels in the ground, and so really today is our opportunity to let Council know and the public know where we are in the process and how we plan to move forward. So I will go up to our board. And here's hard to see, but that was an illustration as you enter into the park, the walkway going towards the Bathhouse. Okay, so when we met late last fall for site plan review, this is what Council ultimately approved. And I wanted to show this really to point out just a couple of slight variations from what was previously approved. And really the two changes that were made is just slight reconfiguration of the tide pool, and I'll explain why in a minute. And we have, at this point, eliminated what we call a splash deck at the front of the entrance to the bathhouse area, through that breezeway. And that was originally on the plan. The intent of that was to create a water feature that would have replaced the splash pad. It was clear, based upon public input and comments, that that was an important element, the splash pad. And particularly having the splash pad in the proximity of the top pool and just having the proper views for, families that are together and using different areas within the pool area. So at this point, you'll see the revised plans. Next slide. Just show this as a sitting area, gathering area, and the pool again is somewhat reconfigured. Splash pad remains in that location. This plan is showing shade features throughout the pool decks. And that's just an overview of what the new plans look like sitting on the existing infrastructure. This I wanted to show primarily because of the dock pool, why we made some of the changes. This now is kind of a wider, more open area where we have zero depth entry. So we kind of expanded that area because that's a popular area for young kids as they're being introduced to water. Our current baby pool is very narrow, and so that was expanded. So you go from zero depth to a foot, and then you can't really see it, but other areas, kind of where you can have sitting in different areas in a foot depth of water. That's an illustration of what it would look like. Again, zero depth entry, a couple of water features within the top pool, and then again, the reintroduction of the splash pad. And these features are examples. We have not picked the final features. I think our intent is still to meet with our pool committee, parks and harbor subcommittee, and identify exactly what features we use. But these were kind of had more like a fish theme and a nautical theme, but that will be further explored. And then again, kind of an overview of the different areas within the park. This came from Barn Mellow. This is kind of when we were again beginning the detailed staging of this project, and our hope is actually to begin construction on March 15th is what we're scheduled to begin with demolition. And so we realize we're going to need a substantial area to undertake the major construction that will be taken. So basically, the existing south lot will be used as your laydown area, your construction work area. And let's go to the next slide. I think it better illustrates. So as you can see, this is where we anticipate the construction fence will go during construction. So this area will be heavily used by our contractors, with some parking of contractors on the other side of Lakeshore in our auxiliary lot. And then people will still be able to enter the park. We will keep that open, keep the main kind of artery into the park open, but this will be fenced for safety reasons. So if you are accessing the beach, which will be open next year, or the kayak racks, you'll still be able to do that through a walkway that will be maintained next summer. Trees. I wanted to show this one because I know trees came up at the last meeting concern because we are removing some trees, but we are very aware of the value of those trees and wanted to make sure that we shared, plans to replace trees with significant height and caliber. And so this is our existing park. Again, this is the old configuration of the pool, so we'll go to that. But there are two trees right kind of adjacent to the top lot currently that will be removed. And frankly, those trees have been problematic in the past because of the leaves falling into the top pool area and staining the deck of the splash pad. And then there will be two trees out in front that are removed, right here and there. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trees in front of the pool area between the pools and the beach. And so in green, you'll see that these are all new trees. These are all replacement trees. We'll be adding another ornamental tree out in front but it's substantial. So we're losing 6 trees, but adding 9 in this area in front. And these trees, they've already seen photos of what's going to be dug. They're approximately 20 feet in height, so they're a little bit more substantial than you would normally see with a typical tree planting. Also introducing trees in the area between the beach and the front patio area of the bathhouse. So otherwise, not much has changed. Not much has changed in terms of the design of the bathhouse. We've made some slight adjustments, but what we've shown previously is essentially what's being proposed. I have some detailed drawings up on the board that shows the floor plans for further reference. But here's the view of the bathhouse. As you're entering the pool area into the beach area, going through the breezeway out to the pool, there'll be 3 separate entrances to the pool: the men's room, women's room, and then the family changing rooms. And so the men and women's bathrooms go directly out to the pool, the large pool area, and then the family bathroom goes either directly out to the pool area, or you can go directly out to the splash pad area. And this is the image of the building from the beach side, or the pool side. Floor plans, again, you've seen this before. And this is a separate auxiliary building that's being built to house all the mechanical equipment for the new pool. We are abandoning kind of that old area that we currently use that's right adjacent to the maintenance building. That building is being converted to the pool office, and this now will house all the mechanical equipment for both the competitive pool, recreation pool, top pool, and the splash pad. All right, so now the big number, what is the cost? Now that we're further along and we have numbers, we've updated our pool budget with, I think, better accuracy of where the costs are going. Total construction cost is roughly $12.5 million. We've added escalator cost and contingency to those prices. In the event there are contingencies. Indirect cost, $1 million. So a total budget of $14 million. And I have, let me just go over some of those. I know I provided some of the greater detail on that cost makeup, but clearly the biggest part of construction obviously is the pool itself, the pools themselves, and splash pad, and the recreation building, or bathhouse. And the bathhouse, mechanical building, and the refurbishing of the current mechanical room for the lifeguards. That total cost is coming in just under $3.5 million. The pools, including the competitive, recreation, and splash pad, is coming in at $5.25 million. So that's the biggest part of the cost. We have gotten today additional bids. We have bids received today for electrical work, for landscaping, and those are being reviewed right now by Barton Knoll, so we'll be coming back to council with our recommendations on those bids. In addition, there's an extensive amount of site work. That's a big number. The site work that has to be done, that's about a $2 million number. We had originally had scheduled bid opening for the site work today, but because of several of the contractors saying they needed more time, just because they have to coordinate with other contractors, things like for dewatering when they do construction, and so those numbers, those bids have been extended for another week, so we'll have those numbers formally by the beginning of next week. So again, I think those numbers are going to bear out fairly close to what the budget is at $14.79 million. And how do we pay for it? Again, the plan has been really to utilize our debt service that we've been paying on previous parks projects over the last several years, over 20 years, for improvements that have been made with the construction of the community building, with the expansion of the harbor. Those bonds are now being paid off. So that debt is coming off the books as we now will be issuing additional debt. So what we hope to see and we plan to see is a smooth transition. So it's not going to be a major change in our overall budget, and those funds will be coming through our general fund. It's not a special village or anything of that sort. And so of the total project, we anticipate that we will be asking for a bond approval of just under $11 million, which is within kind of that range at which council had approved under our intent to issue bonds of between 10 and 12 million. And but really was what made this possible to be able to keep that debt level fairly level is the major contribution through generous residents that are going through the Grosse Pointe Farmers Foundation. All right, and that's my presentation. Is there any questions?
Questions by council? Start on this side, please, with Councilmember Jensen.
No, looks great to me.
Mayor Pro Tem Soroka?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. Number one, in terms of the fundraising, are those commitments already locked in terms of the $4 million, or are we expecting that money to come in?
That is, I think we are right there right now.
Okay.
I think we're like 3.9 has been pledged.
Great,
And we
and
hope additional dollars will flow in.
that's wonderful and deeply thankful for that generosity. One thing that I had a question on is, I was thinking about it today, with the sound system. Are we including upgrades to the sound system? I'm just thinking the fact that we are now creating new buildings, we want to make sure the wiring's in place to have like something a lot better than what we have right now.
Sure, yeah. So we are doing that as part of that. We have what we call indirect costs.
Yeah.
And we've allocated about $250,000 in indirect costs. So it would be paying for things like sound system installation. One of the bigger items will be new furniture. Cool furniture will be included in that. Some of the just even equipment and furniture within the buildings themselves.
Yeah, and that gets to, thank you for the detail of in that renovation budget with the 3.35 for the bathhouse and the mechanical building. So just to be clear, in addition to doing the bathhouse, so that's 3.5, we're also doing the refurbing the mechanical building, and that we haven't seen any plans for that just yet. I'm okay with that at this point, but
yeah, there's no visual change to the exterior of that area, other than I think the windows are being replaced.
New windows, new entry door, and then
But it's just
interior.
yeah.
Okay.
So what will be is you enter that, it will be an open area, and there'll be a section off for a pool office.
yep.
And then there is, we are adding an employee bathroom there.
Okay, and is that going to be, I know at one point during the many iterations of this process, we talked about a first aid room. Is there going to be something like that in there as well? I know that was desired.
I'm sorry, what?
Like a first aid room, like some sort of, okay.
Right, so first aid, and we're still, there's two different options on first aid. One, it would be to have it in that pool office, but if you go to the exterior of the building, if you recall, there's this area, this little bump out here.
Yeah.
We've kind of identified as kind of like the old equipment checkout room. So the idea would be to have somebody in that room. That may ultimately be the better location for first aid.
Okay, but we'll have some sort of first aid
Yes.
on site. Okay, great. I think that was all I have, and I also really appreciated the extra information about trees, because that was really important, the idea that we're going from 6 losses and increasing it to 9 trees. I think that's wonderful. And you said the trees along the lake shore would be 20 feet high, is that correct?
Between the pool and the beach area, kind of that row of trees, those are 19, 20 feet in height. And those are...
All right, that's all. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I really appreciate it.
Councilmember Ritchie?
no questions.
Councilmember Conrad Wilbernay.
No, I think it's gone through. So I'm very happy with it.
Councilmember Wood.
Yeah, Shane, is there members of Martin Mello here tonight?
Yes.
Yes, Sheila Fredericks is here from
Okay, hi Sheila. I'd just like to know if we hired a construction manager for this project. Very unusual for us to do that.
She is the construction manager.
Yeah, and so I'd like to hear from you, and particularly, my question would be, what are the pitfalls that we, at this point now, face? What problematics are there out there that we, what don't we know, that kind of thing? Can you speak to, given your experience, can you speak to the potential problems that we might have and what we can do to mitigate that if we possibly can?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Sheila Fredericks, I'm also a Farms resident, so it's a very special project to be a part of, and I appreciate you guys having me here. I've been in the construction management industry for about 15 years. I just recently finished a pool at the University of Michigan. It was in an enclosed building, not an outdoor space, but some may say that actually makes it more complicated. And I like to say that the hardest part of the project can be getting out of the ground. That's where all the unknowns are. So as we go forth to demolish what was built several years ago with our pools, there might be some unknowns that we find, maybe an abandoned storm line or something that is not shown on the plan. So we do have set aside what is a reasonable contingency to cover and address items like that. I feel that the amount that's carried pools and coordinating with several contractors on large-scale projects, and I will be sure to make sure that there's coordination between all parties, as well as with the Grosse company, with Bathhouse. They've been great to work with and coordinate with, so just making sure everything is aligned and the handshakes work out. But I think you've done a great job making sure there's detailed plans. Having a good set of plans is always important when you're going out on the streets to bid, and I think numbers will reflect really accurately what we'll put in place. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Ms. Fredericks, we sincerely appreciate, I know you approached me months ago, and you've been about your willingness to become involved, and it's worked out perfectly. And we're glad you're on board, we're glad Barton's on board. We know that this is not the size and scope of project that you generally work on. We appreciate your involvement, look forward to a great things to come, so thank you again.
Thanks for having me. It's very helpful.
Mr. Blau, do you have anything on behalf of Parks and Rec Board? We invite Mr. Blake.
No, I will touch base on mine and agenda later on in the agenda.
Perfect,
Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Blake. Good evening.
Good evening.
And thank you as well for, I don't know what number plan it is, but at one meeting, we had reached double digits in the 20s in terms of revised plans. I know we heard a lot from community members, from other architects, things of that nature, from builders and the like, and your attention to detail and willingness to listen and participate in the process is greatly appreciated. I know that your issue will be coming up first. We'll lead off with Mr. Wood's question. Any pitfalls that you anticipate? I know you're going to be the construction manager for the design and build of the bathhouse. Tell us, Jeremy.
One advantage to design build is that as we're designing the building, we're anticipating how it's being built. And so therefore, it's not a plan that's been developed by another organization with a vision that might be a little different or might not be as discernible. We sort of know what we want, we know how to build it, and that part of it, I think, is pretty straightforward. There's so many square feet of tile, it's X dollars a square foot, the labor is calculated in a similar manner. As Sheila said, coming out of the ground is always the most uncertainty. We've determined what the footings are there now, and that's part of that contract. There's always a possibility you find something that's unexpected, and you need to work with the contractor to determine how to handle that. And in order to mitigate or cover that, we also have contingency. In our budget, we have a contingency of $250,000. And my job, my goal, my objective as a taxpayer, my business and my home in the farms, is to make sure we don't spend that $250,000. That comes back to the city. But you just don't know. But clearly the most risk is associated with underground, what you can't see. And in this case, it's the underground demolition, and then it's installation of the piling and the footings.
How deep are the footings for the bathhouse?
The footings are 42 inches, but they're a grade beam. So they span across helical piers. The helical pier is a metal sort of metal shaft with fins on it, and they basically, with a hydraulic device, spin it into the ground until they get enough resistance. And when they spin it, they have a gauge that tells them what the resistance is. And when it gets to that point, they know that's a load of 5,000 pounds, or whatever the loads required that the architect requires. So we have soil boring reports that the structural engineer looks at and says your helical piers need to be 10 feet deep in this soil condition. So that would be an example of a risk, Councilman Wood, where instead of 10 feet, or 12 feet, we have to go 14 feet or 15 feet. And again, we have a contingency in the foundation budget, and then we have the larger contingency of $250,000. Once we get those grade beams in, I feel the risk of overruns is minimized.
Will the old footings be demolished and removed completely, or will parts of them be left in?
We expect to take most of them out.
Any questions for Mr. Blake before we entertain the first motion on our agenda this evening? Ms. Conrad Wilberding, please.
I just want to say, Chris, thank you for all your help with this and going through all the different revisions, because, particularly with the Parks and Recreation Committee and also the subcommittee, you've been there all the time. And you've been able to really, really, very explicitly give some rationale, take a look at some of the different changes and listen to our constituents as they want different changes made. So kudos to you with that, but bigger kudos to you for giving us a bit of a discount.
Yeah, I'll say, I found the process to be extremely productive. I think the feedback was very good. The Parks and Harbor Committee managed the process, the school committee managed the process very well. And we make changes like this all the time. And it's so good to be able to do it before we start building. So the process works.
Councilman Ritchie, please.
Thank you, Chris, for all your help on all this. And just like building a $3 million house, right?
Right.
The biggest thing, when we did the bathhouse, the community center, we had the issue down the road, which we just had to replace the runners, the decking and everything. We have a little porch over here. I just want to make sure we're using all the right materials now so that we don't have to worry about that 10 or 15 years from now, exterior mold, moisture.
Yeah, the exterior of the building is all AZAC. And when I say the exterior, the cornice, meaning the freeze board, the crown molding, the soffit, and the fascia where the gutters are. The gutters are copper, but the AZAC material is plastic, but it looks like a 1x12. You couldn't tell the difference. But the difference is if the paint sticks to it, it doesn't peel. Moisture doesn't get in the wood and then pop the paint off.
Right.
So that's from that standpoint, trim, we're using the best. Our shutters are an automotive MDF finish. They have a limited life, but vinyl shutters wouldn't look right on a building like this. The entry doors are all 18-gauge steel, and they're embossed into a 6-panel traditional look. We spent a lot of time looking at fiberglass, looking at steel, and in the end, steel will hold up way, way better, and we felt that was important because of the many uses in and out that those doors will have. The railing on the porch is PVC, so it's vinyl, so it holds up way better. The decking is Trex, which is the best decking you can buy instead of using cedar. So it has a much longer life.
What about the joists underneath?
joist for the second floor is the floor truss. It's a webbed floor truss.
Okay.
Okay, so it allows us to put ductwork through there, wiring through there, and also provide for enough insulation underneath that floor because it's over the breezeway. And the rest of the building is all engineered roof trusses.
Thank you.
One other comment, the roof is a synthetic cedar shake roof. And that's a critical thing that's very expensive to replace. Theoretically, this should last for 60 years instead of maybe 25 for a standard cedar roof.
Is there metal on the?
There is. That standing seam, black standing seam steel with a powder coated finish.
Questions or comments to my left, please? Councilman Soroka or Jensen?
I'll just say thank you so much for your involvement in the process. Again, it was really lovely working with you. And, you know, typically I don't love the idea of doing the kind of design build, going with one contractor and sole sourcing it like that. But in this case, I think it made sense for us, given how involved you've been, not only in this project, but also at the park itself for many, many decades. And so I just really appreciate your work, and I think it's going to look great.
You guys all know where I live, too. So.
Mr. Jensen?
No, my only comment was really towards Shane. Is the entire south parking lot going to be used, the entire lot? I know that the pool, because of the reduction in the participants in the pool, the families in the pool are going to help that. But we still have the picnic area and we still have the boaters. Is there any way we can maybe encroach on that a little bit, like 40 spots or 50 spots? Because
We may see, as the season goes, there might be an opportunity to gain some spaces back, but, you know, particularly when we're doing, you know, this excavation and you're removing the old, physically removing the pool, it's gonna be trainloads of spoils being hauled out, trainloads of aggregate and materials being brought in. And then we want to obviously give each contractor some space. You're going to have a different contractor for the pool and different for the construction of the bathhouse and mechanical areas.
I just comment, I think from a safety standpoint too, it's much better to have a very clearly segregated space.
Plus you got laborers coming in too.
Yeah.
So
my concern is that we don't underestimate the amount of residents that will still utilize the picnic area and the harbor and the beach and the kayaks, that we just don't cut that too short. That was my only concern.
And the north lot is larger, we do have more spaces, obviously, on the other side.
Right.
It's a bit smaller and more narrow, the two lots, and there may be times, like we would normally have during a busy summer weekend, that we would be utilizing the overflow lot across the street.
Very good. Thank you.
Any questions or comments of members of the general public for Mr. Blake or Ms. Fredericks? Hearing that, I first entertain a motion to approve our first action item with regard to this great project, to approve the proposed contract with the Blake Company in the amount of $3,489,693, subject to final review by City Attorney Burgess and City Manager Reeside. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
By Councilperson Conrad Wilberding, is there support?
Support.
By Councilman Ritchie. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Reeside, so that's the issue with regard to the proposed contract award for the construction of the pools by Baranuzzi Aquatic, please.
So, again, similar to the design build process that we went through the Blake Company, we did a similar process with Grosse Aquatics. They've been extremely good to work with. We've had a lot of changes, a lot of revisions that they've added some excellent expertise to the process, and we have gotten a detailed bid. And when I say detailed, we're having some of them look at small phone books in terms of what the specifications are and details. that we've reviewed with Bart Mello and have found to be in order, and are recommending that they be approved for the proposed contract, and the total amount is $5,253,379.
Is there any discussion by members of council? Any discussion by members of the public? Is there a motion to approve the proposed contract with Beautification Aquatic in the amount stated of $5,253,379, subject to final review and approval by City Attorney Burgess and City Manager Reese?
So moved.
By Mayor Pro Tem Soroka, is there support? Support. By Councilmember Wood. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is a discussion regarding, site work.
Is there anything else that you need to show us tonight? Is that sufficient? Okay, all right. So I think the next thing we would like to do is I'd like to turn it over to Chris Galatas, and to kind of walk us through what the summer is going to look like now that we are going to be under major construction. So with that, Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Shane. And thank you, Mayor, City Council, for approving those items. It is an absolute great time to be here and be part of this great community, and I cannot wait to see what happens with this project. Big thank you to the Blake Company, to Bart Mallow, Verrazini Aquatic, as you guys all said, the Parks and Harbor Committee, the Pool Committee. This has been an absolute wonderful process to go through, and couldn't have done it with all the people and all the residents, so thank you to all those. The biggest question, the biggest thing that we've been working on, this project, and this plan started back in the month of October, November, coming up where are our residents going to go for the summer of 2026. Probably the biggest question we have gotten, probably from the December until now, and I'm actually very, very excited to share it finally. We've kind of shared it a little bit with residents, but we didn't want to put the cart before the horse and start sharing this without knowing for sure that we had this approved. So I began conversations with the other cities and the other Parks and Recreation directors. I can share that the City of Grosse Pointe Park, the City of Grosse Pointe Woods, and the City of Grosse Pointe Shores came forward and were very in order to kind of accommodate this and figure out how we were going to do this in the most logical and ways that those parks can continue to operate to serve their residents, but also serve our residents. We came up with a two-park pass approach to this. We are going to do a yellow park pass for residents who vote in Precinct 1, a orange park pass for residents who vote in Precinct 2. So it's going to be clearly defined where residents are going to be able to go for the summer. If you are in Precinct 1 and you have a yellow park pass, you're going to start the summer off by visiting Grosse Pointe Woods. So between the dates of May 25th through July 15th, you will have access to Grosse Pointe Woods for open swim lessons, and I'll kind of get to the rest of that in a second. The second half of the summer, we're going to send those residents to Grosse Pointe Park from July 16th through September 7th. And then obviously for the Precinct 2 Orange Park Pass people, they're going to start at Windmill Point Park and Grosse Pointe Park, and then they're going to go over to Grosse Pointe Woods for the second half of the summer. Few questions as to why we went precinct-wise and we didn't go with addresses or streets. And it actually came out of our sessions that we had with the public. We were going to go with odd-even addresses, and we realized quickly that if I lived at an odd address and my friends lived at an even address, we would never see each other during the summer, and kids wouldn't be able to continue to play. So that came out of those sessions, and it really kind of made us think. We kind of thought we had it figured out, be good, and they said that, and it made sense. So this way, we're going to try and keep everybody as close to their homes and with their neighbors, and we think it's going to work out fairly well. We know that we're not going to please everybody. Grosse Pointe, partnership with Grosse Pointe Woods. So residents will be able to utilize that park during those time periods that we mentioned. The difference with this is no guest privileges are included with going to the woods or the park. Farm residents are going to be able to sign up their children for swim lessons. So anybody who has children that are wondering where swim lessons are going to be this year, or that you thought maybe you weren't going to be able to have them, you are going to be able to register with that with the woods. As well as our seniors and our early morning swimmers can also sign up for early morning swim through the woods. Same thing, moving on to the park, same exact scenario, lessons, early morning swim, open swim, you'll be able to utilize the park for that. The partnership with Grosse Pointe Shores is a little different. The Grosse Pointe Shores is going to partner with us to be able to hold our synchronized swim program. So we will be over there after their swim team is over. We're going to jump in there. We're going to use their facility for that while encouraging them to hopefully have some of their children. They don't have a synchronized swim program. We thought it'd be a great opportunity to get their kids to be able to join our synchro team and be able to kind of get it, and potentially in the future they can create their own team as well there. So. The other partnership is with the Grosse Pointe schools, and they're gonna host and have our swim team there. So we're gonna start off at Brownell in the early season before school's out, and then when school is out in the summer, we're gonna be practicing over at Grosse Pointe South. Those time frames will be from 4 to 7 p.m., so it kind of keeps similar to what we are if we were at our own pool. And our home swim meets will actually be hosted at away pools, but we'll have our swim team staff, myself, Michelle, will be there to operate those so the other parks don't have that burden on them. So, kind of last but not least, we're kind of talking about Pier Park operations. We kind of talked about it, but these amenities will be closed during construction. Some of these will start closing as early as potentially this week. That includes the top lot playground, obviously the bathhouse bathrooms, the stand-up shower at the beach. The south parking lot will all, at this point, be closed once construction starts. Beach kayak area will remain open. We'll keep that open. So that is kind of the plan that we have in place. We have been working on Creek Slash questions that we will post on our website and get out to residents to help answer kind of where am I going, where am I supposed to be going. So we anticipate that will be up on the website. And my goal, kind of working with Derek, is to be able to get all this information released to the public at some point this week. Because we got to do that. We've delayed issuing park passes. Those are going to start getting issued and being picked up beginning on March 2nd. So we're getting going. I'm excited to get this out there to the public so they can start to know what their summers are going to look like. And but the park is still going to be open, so encourage everybody to still come out. Pickleball, platform tennis, tennis lessons. We're still going to be doing dance classes. We're still taking picnic reservations, both indoor and outdoor. So the park will be open, marina's going to be open. It's just going to be a 4-month summer that it'll be interesting to see how it works, but we're excited to kind of facilitate it and make it happen. Hopefully be the benchmark for other communities if they ever do this project. So any questions, I'll gladly answer as best I can.
Councilman Ritchie, please.
With the beach open, kayaks open, swimming in the lake, is there going to be availability to shower after?
Not currently. Because that stand-up shower is our only water source that's going to be over there, and that would be turned off at that point. And there won't be any water over there, so that might be something that we have to think about for that. But currently, there wouldn't be any operating water.
That's a question, because, you know, coming out of the lake, I want to get hosed off.
Right. It's understandable.
Maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
So I think we should think about how we can put some kind of temporary deal up. I'm sure Chris can come up with something, to be honest with you. Just my thoughts.
Yep, I appreciate that.
Councilmember Conrad Liberty, please.
I know that in our communications committee, that Mayor Pro Tem and I, she's co-chair, that we went through a number of these different things with it. We suggested, you know, obviously do it on the website right away, but also we were talking about some type of marketing little tool, or, I mean, just something to send to residents in the mail, that would have like a little card or placard just to, go through exactly what you've all listed here. Will that be done?
I think between Derek and I, we will continue to work on that and see what opportunities we can do. I don't want to speak for
Yeah,
Derek.
I think that's going to be needed.
Yeah, I mean,
That's not been our committee strongly, and Neil, I know that we had quite a bit of discussion on that, on the importance of that. So my second question is, what happens to the concession stand?
Yeah.
So the concession stand, obviously, we do not operate the concession stand. It's a private entity that operates it. In speaking to the operator, she doesn't know that it's going to be lucrative enough to be able to operate it during the week. Right now, she is trying to kind of talk with her staff and her husband to see if it makes sense to just operate during the weekend. But she's struggling to see what makes sense for her. I did give her a time frame of hopefully letting us know by mid-March, so then we can get that out into, you know, the FAQs and kind of share it with our residents. But at this point, you know, she's not sure what she can do on it, unfortunately.
Councilmember Wood.
Yeah, hi, Chris. Despite your excellent presentation and all the details and stuff, I'm sure you're going to be getting lots of phone calls. People will misplace all the information, or they're going to want to second guess, or just, people just got to do that, right?
Absolutely.
Do you have plans internally for your staff to be manning phones, maybe one or two extra people, kind of during this 4-month period when, you know, you're just going to be getting a lot of phone calls?
Yeah. So
how do we make sure that people don't say, oh, they just put me on hold and, you know,
right.
didn't answer?
Question, Councilman Wood. We do have part-time staff that man our front desk. As we get to the summertime, those kind of shifts increase. Our staff is answering phones. I don't think we're going to have any issues with it. All this information that we have here, again, I've avoided putting it out to the front desk yet, just because I didn't want it to get out to the public before we, you know, again, got it approved. This will all be there. It'll be on all of our desks at Pier Park. I don't envision that we're going to have any issues communicating this information out to residents. In the frequently asked questions too, in here, it has all the contact information for the other parks as well, websites, social media pages. So the residents will be able to see that too, so we kind of encourage them to bookmark it, put it in their phones. But between social media, answering those phones, I think we'll be able to communicate it out without any issues.
Okay. I'm going to hold you to it.
All the time. We'll be good, I promise.
Real quick back to Councilman Ritchie before I go to my left.
Concession stand, let's go back to that.
Sure.
Ever since Dickie Graves left, it was always a problem getting people. We finally have a family that operated, and they do a great job. They do the ball fields, I believe, or whatever. We cannot lose these people. It's unbelievable what you have to go through to get people that want to even do it.
Right.
We're doing something for the parks to help out, right? We really need to do something for these concession people, and it's just a matter of subsidy for 3 months or 2 months or whatever. And maybe the foundation would get involved in that.
We understand, that's being discussed.
Pardon?
That's being discussed.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you get the message back.
Yeah, we've communicated that with her.
Right.
Absolutely.
She understands where the city is at, and she understands what we're willing to help her out. I probably tell her on a weekly basis how much we appreciate her and all the work she does over there. So she knows that, so.
Okay, it's about the.
No, we've definitely done that. We've told her that. She's just trying to make sure it makes sense for her staff to only, you're asking kids to work just the weekends. That's her concern, is currently in the summer when they were at the park, some of those kids were working 5 to 7 days a week. Now she's only going to ask them to work 2 days a week. She just wants to make sure she can have adequate coverage.
Concession stand during the week then, for sure?
Not for sure. That's going to be her decision if she's going to be able to man it and to be able to operate it. So between Shane and I, we can definitely continue to talk to her and see what she wants to do on that. So.
Well,
But she knows that we have financial backing, that we could help her out on some stuff, the lease agreement that we get from her, those items as well.
Councilmember Conrad Wolverine, briefly, please.
Thank you, Chris, for that and trying to hold our hand through all this. But I think that any type of incentive to keep her in would be most welcome. But I also think that if we had some different, that's why I keep on asking, because the people ask me, will the concession stand be open? So why not do a pre-marketing for her? By, getting this resolved, so the rest of your communications, this can be added to it. And, maybe she has some different hours with it, that's okay. But when you've got, the tennis lessons, when you have any of the other different activities that are going to be going on, still have ice, it's going to be, in big demand for all the different boaters. You still have the different people with, the kayaks and the paddle boards, and you have the beach. So I think that if it's marketed and we have some different hours that are structured already, I think it can provide her with the right incentives to make sure that she still has, a good clientele.
Councilman Soroka.
Yeah, just to build on that for a second, number one, I'm strongly in favor of some sort of support for her and the peer concession stand in this, moment where they're going to lose a big chunk of the business. It just makes sense. What I would also say is, my suggestion would be, let's put in a placeholder question in your FAQ about more information is coming, because you are going to get those questions. And that just goes to say, number one, I appreciated the really forward thinking that we did on communications ahead of time on this, and it's just to note that frequently asked questions, which where we kind of came up with collaboratively, and you guys put together some great answers. It's just a reminder, we can update that. And we're going to be updating that throughout the summer as new questions emerge. And this is exactly the sort of questions that people manning the phones have access to, so they already know the answers to the questions. Speaking of the FAQ though, I did have one thing, as I was reading through it, needed some clarity on. So when you have a child that's taking swim lessons, so let's say I'm in precinct 1, and so my first pool that I go to, I have an opportunity to go to is the Grosse Woods pool. Does that if that pool I'm going to right then? And then if I switch to the park later on in the summer, I have to go to that. Okay. So
That's the thought process that we had with those communities. Again, I don't want to speak to them where they may, that's revenue for them.
Yeah.
They may be okay with continuing swim lessons.
Yeah.
To make sure that they weren't overwhelmed and anything like that. That's the way that it was set up prior to that.
So I think that would be one thing that I would add a little bit of clarity to that question, because especially I think most people sign up for swim lessons at the beginning of the summer, so the place where you go first is probably where, and we should probably, if we have the opportunity, can follow up with the cities to just say, if they're already doing swim lessons through you, can they finish, even if they're switching out in the middle of July, because that'll be a question there. But other than that, I think this is a good plan. I do live on Moran, where I won't see my neighbors on the other side of Moran, but that's okay. We'll survive. Thank you for this very thoughtful plan.
You're welcome. Councilmember Jensen.
Chris, what about lifeguard employment opportunities? Obviously, a lot of farms, and other residents that have worked there before are going to lose a job. Is there any kind of working arrangement? Are we leaning on them to maybe pick up some of the slack? Now, we all know for the past couple of years, it's been a lifeguard shortage in the country, let alone the state and the local pools. So I'm hoping that we can pick up some of our lifeguards, because the year after it could be a little difficult if we don't.
And that's a great question, great point. And I will be honest and forthright, that is probably one of my biggest concerns about having the pool closed for an entire summer, is the loss of those lifeguards. We have communicated with all of our lifeguards that we had on staff last year. We have encouraged them to apply at Grosse Pointe Park, Grosse Pointe Shores, and Grosse Pointe Woods to be able to continue their lifeguard employment. Obviously, we can't make them do that. We can't, if they want to go somewhere else to the private clubs, they can obviously do that as well. And then the thought process and the hope is when we have this brand new pool, this brand new area, it's going to be an enticement to come back. We are going to have to market it. We are going to have to reach out to those those lifeguards again. You know, this last summer, we were at the tail end of our kids that we had for a good 4 years. So those first-year college kids are now going away, and we were building up the 14, 15-year-olds to come in. So we, you know, again, we're hoping that's going to be the thing. We've been very fortunate, and knock on wood, we'll continue to be fortunate that we didn't struggle to get lifeguards last year. We were very lucky to not have any issues. At the end of the summer is always an issue, but leading into the summer, we had plenty of lifeguards to get started, and we didn't have any closures, we didn't have any reduced hours or anything like that. So my hope is we'll be at the same time next year.
And my second point on that is, I envision that the beach may get much more use if it's open. We don't have any problems with the E. coli.
Yep.
Being that it might get a lot more use, do you have any plans to put a lifeguard or a couple lifeguards out there?
Insurance question and the liability question. None of our guards are trained to be beach lifeguards, so we don't have any lifeguards there. It wasn't a thought process to have anybody there. There's signs that say, you know, swim at your own risk. That would be a conversation that we can have with city administration to see if we want to do that. But that wasn't a thought. We didn't think about that for the summer.
Well, I lean on our lawyer there. When you have a beach that's open to the general public, simply posting signs that say swim at your own risk, when we know the increase in that beach participants could be a lot heavier, maybe we should look at putting someone there, you know, at peak times or whatever. Plus, give them an opportunity, employment opportunity.
Generally, there's no specific liability for swimming in open water when it's posted as it is. Having a lifeguard certified in open water rescue is much more difficult than a closed environment pool. They want to see a lot more in terms of certification and the like. But certainly, I suggest that if it happens this year, it's probably something we should plan on going forward every year. People would expect it. You read about what's happening on the west side of the state. I'm involved in the case over there right now with regard to Lake Michigan and no lifeguards. Some communities have them, some communities don't have them. It's a big issue on the west side of the state, but Lake Michigan's a lot different than basically.
Yeah. Well, I just know that drownings were increased exponentially in Oakland County and some of the smaller lakes. So I just thought that might be a way to think about the beach training or whatever.
Yeah.
Open water training is much more stringent than pool training. We can look into it.
Well, the lake levels don't come back, we're gonna have to
Well,
worry about it.
I walked down halfway,
Yeah, right.
you're able to go almost all the way to the end. Of the pier. Wow. Yeah. Well, I wrap it up with this. Any other questions or comments from council? Members of the public, any questions regarding Mr. Galata's presentation? Please come up, name and address. We know you, but if you would, for the record, please. Thank you for being here.
Ann Ryman, 477 Chalfont. Senior swimmer, avid senior swimmer. In connection with what you're just talking about with the lake, I think you're going to have more of a problem with people not being able to get in it. I've been swimming here. We've lived in the farms for 4 years, and probably 90% of the time, it's closed. You can't get in because of the E. coli. I don't know whether there's anything you can do as far as water flow or anything like that, but you just, you know, I mean, we've tried to come have family gatherings where the kids want to be on the beach and swim, and you can't plan it. It just doesn't exist. And go ahead.
Well, we've tried bubblers in the past. We've consulted with state and federal agencies. They don't know what the root cause of the problem is. They know some of the causes emanate from geese and just industrial pollution and the like. But with the water leveling it down further this year, they are anticipating more problems with E. coli. Not enough water to circulate.
Yeah, every time there's a heavy rain, signs are up.
Well, the other change I think it's occurred is And then, once you have a high level, there's a geometric average that they use. So once you get to that level, you're not gonna open up the next week. It takes sometimes several weeks, if at all, you get down to that geometric level where we can open up again. So that's part, the good thing is it's being tested more frequently, and we're.
Yeah, and you want it to be safe.
But something is.
I just was
it
amused
may
by
improve,
talk
but
about the beach because you can't do that. Question for you, Chris.
Sure.
On the senior swim.
Yes.
Will that schedule, when you start to put out information, will that schedule be available so we know when I have to go to the woods and when I have to go to the park, what's going to be available?
We will definitely look at what they offer in terms of senior swim. Looking at their website and speaking to them, I don't think that they, just like us, we don't have specific senior swim times. But I will look in to see what those other parks do.
It's more times when you can't get in.
Yes, oh yeah, those will all be,
You
yes,
have to you get in at 6:30 in the morning or you can't get in until 10.
Yeah, no, we will share all the pool schedules from both the woods and the park, once we have them, once they're established by those communities.
That would be appreciated.
Yep, absolutely, yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again for appearing, Mrs. Reiner. We appreciate it.
I have a question. What happens if someone just goes into the beach, even if there's an E. coli warning? I mean, it's not our warning. I mean, what prevents them from going in?
As I observed a group of young ladies, including my 17-year-old daughter, when I saw the sign last year, beach closed, and went out and saw a bunch of them on their paddle boards jumping off. I don't think there's anything to prevent them, and showers, sometimes they just go in. They do, and I've seen them at other times when it's closed, and they, with parents there as well.
Yeah.
Our
I'm not
staff,
encouraging it, but I'm just thinking,
Need a horse to walk.
there's enough information that,
and our staff,
Wouldn't do that.
like if I'm walking around or if our lifeguards are walking around, we do share with them that, it's been tested, the levels are not gonna let their 3, 4, 5-year-olds swim. We haven't had any, anything where we're kicking them out or anything like that at this point. We haven't gotten to that point. We just share with them the test level where they came back at and make that choice. They could go on the other side and press and swim, and it'd be no different.
Any further public comments regarding summer operations planned out by Mr. Galatas? Chris, again, thanks to you, to Michelle Eichhorst, for all your attendance after hours, for all your help in coordinating this, for your attention to detail. Now I entertain a motion to approve the summer operations plan as set forth in Mr. Galatas' February 23, 2026 memo to administration and city council, please.
So moved.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Soroka, is there support?
Support.
Support by Councilmember Jensen. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next on the consent agenda, there's one item on the consent agenda to appoint Mr. Michael Brown to the Beautification Advisory Commission for a 3-year term ending September 28, 2029. Is everyone comfortable with reading that on the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the requested reappointment of Mr. Brown?
So moved.
By Councilmember Conrad Wilberding, support. Support. By Councilmember Ritchie, any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We are going to go into a brief closed session to discuss real estate. Before we do, publicly, I entertain, just for the benefit of those watching, if anyone on city council has any questions or comments. Councilmember Wood.
Yes, I do. I have a couple of items that I'd like to bring to council's attention, very brief items, but I think important. I have in my hand our annual comprehensive financial report, which I first want to say to Tim and to staff, it's always good to see this. The benefit here is outstanding transparency for what's likely the most important thing that we do here, and that is spending our taxpayer dollars, right? There are a couple of items in the booklet that I would just like to highlight. Let's see here. questions, what's our millage rate, how come our taxes are so high? Well, if you look at the information on page 6, you realize that taxes have stayed the same or have been lower since the year 2021. We have voluntarily increased our taxes with the roads, with the helm, and with the sewer separation project. But I think that residents should know that our taxes have been very, very modest over the years and have stayed very much, they're trending pretty flat. Okay, and that's the first item that I'd like to bring to everybody's attention. The second item I marked here is on page 17 of the booklet, and this speaks to the committee that Joe and I are on, that is the retirement systems program for both public safety and also for general employees. We enjoy an extremely well-managed and very well-funded pension program for both of those systems, and it's right here in black and white. This is a huge benefit. People might say, so, big deal. But because we have our public safety officers receiving pensions right now, it's a benefit for us to offer to them as new employees, saying, look, we're extremely well-funded, and there's no chance that what's going to happen, there's not going to get a haircut like what happened in the city of Detroit years ago. This is a benefit for everyone, and it's also a reflection of good management. We have excellent advisors, so I want to bring that up to the council as well. The final item, if you've been in business, you know that the most expensive item on your expense side is our people, or is labor. On page 6, from a high in 2019 of 117 full-time equivalent staffing to last year to 115. So over that period of time, we haven't changed much, but we're doing a lot more, right? We're getting all of our work done, and it's a testament again, I think, to cost cutting, to being like Tim is on top of all the budget issues that we go through. So I think that's really an important and key thing. So thank you for this, Shane, and Tim, thank you very much. The second item that I would like to bring to council's attention is something very unusual. I got a note from SEMCOG the other day, just last week. They have issued what I'll call kind of a call to action, so to speak, marshaling the troops to speak in one voice, a unified voice against what appears to be a concerted effort to preempt many of the zoning regulations that we here at City Council and throughout the state are doing. And so this has become quite a big talking point. SEMCOG is working with the Michigan Township Association and also with MML. Beth is very involved with their policy committee. You can make it so you can talk. But this is unusual, and the SEMCOG typically does not kind of have this kind of a call to action. So tomorrow, I am going to go down to the press conference at 10:30 at SEMCOG offices. So I'm going to be surrounded by my friends, people who I've met down there for now over the years, and we're going to speak in one voice to opposition for these particular bills that are right now in Lansing being debated. But one thing that irritates me the most is having the state tell us how we can do our work here. To me, and I don't know the numbers, but the people who are in the state senate and also in the state house, they come from jobs just like what we have. They're former mayors, they're former township supervisors, they're former council people. I don't understand how it is that they kind of lose sight of, suddenly they're now in Lansing, and now they can boss us around, so to speak. So it's a very important issue, the preemption issue. Louis has had railed about it. I mean, I'm railing about it, but Louis railed about it too, many number of times. So this is something that I'm going to do. Sheila and the city is going to go ahead and bring some people down. Sierra was going to come with me, but she's sick. So we're doing.
Thank you.
Let me just add to it that the Michigan Municipal League, and Friday, for a 2-hour meeting. These are people that are representing their municipalities from all over the state, and it was unanimous in our vote to formally give notice that we are very much in opposition. A little bit of background here. I believe there might be 4 bills that encompasses all this. And what it does is that it emanated because there was a bipartisan coalition of sorts from state reps that wanted to look at more affordable housing and more housing, in order to how we can increase housing because there is a shortage of housing. And so that's how they were looking at it. Fault, erroneously, in my opinion and your opinion, was that, these zoning laws. And so that if they had a way to make more housing affordable, but also more available housing, so it's not only affordability, it's available. And one way they thought they could do that, an incentive would be to really take a look at free zoning laws. It's the laws of local control. And that's why a lot of it started to really progress far more rapidly than anyone had envisioned. And so it is an important issue, and it's one of local control. And again, it has bipartisan support, and it's a threat to all communities for their own constituents and for their own legislative mandates.
Any other council member reports? I would just like to indicate briefly, special thanks. I know there have been a lot of water main breaks recently, and our crews have been out there. You're out there President's Day. I saw a couple crews out. There's been a lot. Kudos. We have great staff. There was a fire recently. A couple of fires, very significant fire events that our crews did great jobs on. But thanks to you and your team.
Well, thank you. We'll pass it along. And this is the time of the year where we go from really cold one day to hot and warmer another day. That you see heaving of some of our infrastructure, and we do see breaks. Knock on